Hi everyone, thanks for viewing my video. Today we're going to learn about one of the most important topics in the 7th grade science curriculum, and that is the hydrologic cycle. The hydrologic cycle is the changing of water as it moves through the lithosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. As we look at the word hydrologic, we can pull out the prefix hydro, meaning water. The second word in the hydrologic cycle is the word cycle. And just like a circle, the word cycle means that it does not have a beginning or an end. As we look at this diagram, we notice that all the parts of the hydrologic cycle come together to form a fluid and circular pattern. For the sake of this video, we're going to start with evaporation. However, since the hydrologic cycle is a circular pattern, there truly is no beginning or end. It is always moving. As we look at this diagram, we see an arrow going from the body of water up into the air. How this happens is that the water turns into water vapor, which allows it to rise high into the atmosphere. As we watch this video, realize that evaporation is always occurring. Even though the water looks as though it's staying where it's at, it's constantly being transformed into water vapor and entering the atmosphere. The next part of the hydrologic cycle is transpiration. As we see in this diagram, transpiration is similar to evaporation in the fact that the water is going from the earth into the atmosphere. However, unlike evaporation, transpiration comes from land. These trees and bushes are constantly sending water vapor up into the atmosphere, similar to what we saw with evaporation. The next part of the hydrologic cycle we're going to talk about is condensation. Condensation occurs when the warm water vapor from evaporation and transpiration meet the cool air in the atmosphere, creating clouds. These videos are examples of when condensation has occurred, creating clouds. Once condensation has occurred, we get to our next phase of the hydrologic cycle, which is precipitation. As we see in this diagram, condensation has formed the clouds. However, the clouds cannot stay there forever. Eventually, they will get heavy enough to create precipitation. Rain is just one form of precipitation. We also see precipitation as snow, sleet, and hail. The next part of the hydrologic cycle is infiltration. As we see in this diagram, after receiving precipitation, we need somewhere for the water to go, and that's where infiltration comes in. During infiltration, the water enters the soil. As we see in these pictures, infiltration occurs when water that sits on the Earth's surface in the form of a puddle begins to work its way into the soil. Here, in just a few minutes, it goes from a body of water and into the soil and down into the roots of this plant. The final part of the hydrologic cycle is runoff. As we see in this diagram, after precipitation and infiltration, there is runoff that completes our circle. As we see in this video, the water is running off into the sewer system, which will eventually make its way back into lakes and streams, and eventually back into the ocean. At that point, evaporation will begin again.